Pokemon's a pretty popular franchise, isn't it? Like, I don't know, at least top 150 most popular, and Death Battle has had quite a few of them. I will not be talking about every episode with them. I have already reviewed Pikachu vs Blanca in my Fighting Game episodes review, Shadow vs Mewtwo in my Shadow vs Ryuko review, which surprisingly also has the other Shadow episodes for those who are wondering why I didn't bring up my Mario vs Sonic review. The reason is I forgot, and Goro vs Machamp is in my Season 7 retrospective. Let's now cover the last 3 Pokemon episodes, starting with...
Boom! This is yours! And then he raised it out of shame until one day it evolved, and then all the other turtles were like, that's fucking awesome! So then they all started plowing. Hey, look!
How the hell is this episode 12 minutes long? It doesn't feel only 12 minutes long. Anyways, we have 3 analysis segments, so I'm going to go over each of them one at a time again. Venusaur's analysis is pretty decent. Sure, Boomstick does kind of take a jab at him at the start, but then he kind of does that with the other 2 as well. Jokes are all really fine. I like Boomstick's dumb reason for Grass being weaker flying types, and I like Wiz going over the force of Venusaur's Solar Beam, which is something he does for the other big naturally learned moves of the other 2 as well. Generally good stuff. Another thing we get for all 3 of these, by the way, is ending with them bringing up a strong suit that could have them potentially get the win. And also Boomstick makes a joke about bringing women home from bars via powdering them. Blastoise analysis starts with what is probably one of the most memorable jokes in the series history about turtles fucking tanks. Nice. Aside from that, yeah, it's also good, fun analysis segment, jokes are good, Wiz going over the watercolors is nice, generally solid. Like Blastoise. Charizard starts with a joke too, and it's fine. The analysis is good, it doesn't really excel in any way to stand out. All 3 analyses just end up being pretty decent. As for the fight, I have very little to complain about, partially because this episode very obviously and openly had very few resources to go with maybe 3 or 4 animation sequences for each character in the fight. Venusaur might not even have had that many. And the fact that it was able to get so much done while having smoother puppet rigging than most of Season 7 is genuinely shocking. For a start, the character animation is surprisingly solid. Blastoise rarely goes in the attack, it remains firm and defensive, taking hits and counterattacking when necessary. Venusaur rarely attacks or defends, rather using its wide array of pollens and such to heal, sleep, and otherwise make its opponents more vulnerable, only going for a few attacks when he can get away with it. And Charizard is the most openly aggressive, actively going on the offense against both of them and taking the fight straight to both of its opponents. It's just a fantastic bit of work put in, and all the effects come in to really enhance the animation in spite of limited assets. Charizard feels fast, powerful, and aggressive, which is really important. His fire feels strong, and his beam clash with Venusaur's Solar Beam and his kill on Venusaur are just spectacular. Charizard flying in from the dust and slicing off Venusaur's flower is brutal as hell, and Venusaur's desperate clamoring to survive is also great. The highlight of the fight though is pretty obviously the Charizard vs Blastoise bit. Not only is the start of it funny with Venusaur's flower waking up Blastoise while also being a tumbleweed, something I can also believe due to Charizard's warrior mentality, basically just waiting for Blastoise to wake up, but both characters end up setting the scene for the fight. Charizard's fire across the ground and Blastoise rain from the sky. And the beginning referencing Pokemon series transitions into battle with the music and the progression of the fight are just amazing. Charizard goes in for attacks that are quick and powerful, Blastoise gets 2 slower but more impactful counterattacks, Charizard goes full feral and starts getting a bunch of hits on his own, and then Blastoise tears off Charizard's wings brutally for its follow-up. Blastoise then stops Charizard's flamethrower and inflations him to death with a Hydro Pump. Good stuff. If I had any issues with the fight, it's just some of the rigging ends up weird, Blastoise's arm here especially, and the fire in the background is notably, let's say right-angled. But those are minor compared to what's overall a surprisingly solid episode. I'd normally give this a 7, but with a really good conclusion that's funny and informative and arguably the second most objectively correct behind Metaverse Carolina, which is outright correct due to being the result in-universe of Red vs. Blue, I have to kind of give this an 8 just due to the amount of limitations that they had, while still putting out something really good. This is just what I love, and it's only 12 minutes long. I refuse to believe this episode is only 12 minutes long.
But, like most Pokemon, their relationship is still one of master and, well...
Pokemon vs Digimon is the episode that, in my opinion, I probably did the most dirty. Not because I ranked it badly, it was and still is at the time of recording this my second favorite Death Battle finale ever, but because I didn't go into why it's so fucking good. Let's do that then. Aside from the hilarity of the footage of Charizard using Swift Being as Charizard getting pelted by the fucking things, and the weird usage of Project M footage at one point, Red and Charizard's analysis is basically perfect. It manages to so fantastically go over all the bases aside from the calcs later seasons would have, and managed to perfectly show the friendship between Charizard and Red. Hope that sticks. It's a great analysis, and so is Ty's. It got me interested in Digimon and wanting to check it out with a great flow and some fun jokes that I overall enjoyed, as well as generally well-placed clips of the show that made me see a lot of the charm people love about it. I even love how a clip played near the end leading up to the final piece of the analysis is continued on into becoming the transition clip. That's nice. But the fight is something else. Obviously there are problems, the cheapest amongst them being... I think the fight looks kinda bad. It's not... Okay. It has the same aesthetic problem to me as Yang vs Tifa, just without any of the major style clash of the models or outright ugly models. It just has the same issue of outlining the on-screen silhouette instead of the actual character silhouette. Basically, for instance, at the start, instead of outlining Agumon's arm, instead the outline is of its whole body as if it was a single clump. It outlines a silhouette, but not like the 3D silhouette, the 2D silhouette of the character. Things end up looking quite a bit cheap at points, and there are some oddities. Aside from that though, the animation is really good. It starts exactly as you think. Red tries to capture Agumon, it doesn't work, and then when Tai shows up they have a fight as they would in Pokemon. And the fight captures the progression I generally expect. Agumon gets floored, Greymon floors Charizard, Mega Charizard floors Greymon, and War Greymon and Mega Charizard are on roughly equal footing. And it of course starts with a comedic segment of Charizard absolutely mollywopping Agumon. The problem with the outlines is really noticeable here with Agumon getting up. It just doesn't look right at all. He ends up looking like he has no three-dimensional depth and like he's not even in the same plane of existence as the ground. But then we get straight to Greymon and now the fight really begins. This is a case where the quick transformation doesn't bother me, as there really wasn't anything Agumon can get done. I find the Pokeball thrown at him funny but kinda dumb given the context of the fight right now, but Charizard trying to hurt Greymon only to get overwhelmed in raw power and firepower, thus resorting to Red's strategy, works for me. Using the significantly more powerful than Flamethrower Fire Blast to push Greymon back so he can use it above to drop rocks on him makes sense, as fire types are weak to rock in both of their worlds and it's a good use of the environment. But then it goes badly and Charizard drops into the water and then...
I believe in Charizard!
Yeah, what can I say? This might just be my favorite transformation in the show's history. The Faith Red shows on Charizard, the reference to Pokemon Origins, the music and effects work as Charizard glows and explodes out of the water in his mega form with the darkened lighting to emphasize the flames, it's stunning. It's simply stunning. And Red's shout when he thinks Charizard is genuinely in distress is actually quite well delivered. Like, that's just a really good delivery. Also quite like the confusion between the two over the different evolutionary methods of the series. And Mega Charizard's immediate domination of the far bigger Greymon is pretty epic, as is the speed and force behind that dive-bombing Flare Blitz. Then there's the War Greymon transformation, which on one hand, ew, no sound effects? What is that actually a thing in Digimon? On the other hand, holy shit, just like Greymon, they replicated his transformation from the home series, and holy shit, this is Uncontrollable from Xenoblade Chronicles. Maybe one of the best songs we ever got for the conclusion of an episode. It elevates the final battle between Mega Charizard and War Greymon to another level. The two clash into each other in their spinning time fire headbutt attacks. The air battle is phenomenal, and Red's quick strategy leads up to the beautiful sequence of War Greymon trying to avoid Swift, leading to Red setting him up for the Blast Burn that is such a phenomenal moment that it genuinely made me believe a Pokemon actually had a chance against a Digimon. Tai attacking Red is a good character moment for him that doesn't make him feel pointless and just a spectator in the fight, even if the black bar that appears on Red's face for a second sucks. I've seen a lot of people really bothered by the fact that Tai attacked him, why? This makes sense for him to do. Then there's the death. On one hand, the fact that one stab from War Greymon makes him just as bloody as he is for the rest of the sequence is weird. On the other one, War Greymon attacking Charizard when it's distracted and tearing its wings apart so it can't fly, then nuking it in Red after throwing Charizard at him is a fucking great death. Not quite as good as the original idea, but still awesome. And the fact that Red in this condition was more worried about Charizard than himself is a great character moment. The fight really goes to show Red's strategic intelligence and his equal footing and bond with Charizard. I hope this sticks, and this conclusion covers everything so well. I especially like the bit where they go over the big problem for Charizard coming down to the fundamental mechanics of their franchises with Pokemon and Digimon's different evolutionary standards. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, okay, they call Pokemon slaves, which is terrible and I hate it, it's the worst line of the episode. But it doesn't make me dislike the episode, not even close. I still think this is one of the best finales, my second favourite of them all, with my main issues coming down to the overall style of the animation just not being one that I'm a fan of outside of a few moments. It's still a 9 out of 10 though, a phenomenal episode, and one that just adds to the list of Season 2 episodes that hold up and keep the season as my favourite of all time.
Oh, come on, like anyone's gonna sexualize a Digimon. Oh my god!
The 1 minute melee was better. I mean, Lucario vs Renamon peaks at the intro skit with Master Chief Ruby and Jocelyn. Lucario's analysis is boring as shit. There's maybe one joke I like. That's it. Renamon's is a little more interesting. There's 2 jokes I like in it. Wow! The music being told he's not as good as Renamon, and the bit about Digimon attack names. 2 is more than 1, so that's impressive. But then it ends low-key with Renamon porn. I mean, yeah, it's not like nipples out and got a big fat cunt on it, though I am blurring it because if I didn't, that'd be a bit hypocritical of me. And honestly, the joke probably could be funny if they cut to black or just blurred out the entire search results, as opposed to showing an image of Renamon that, while not sexually explicit, is absolutely done with the intent of turning people on. Fucking hell, mate. The fight, meanwhile, it's 1 minute and 41 seconds. It's so short, it is even twice as long as 1 minute melee, and ironically not even half as good. It's not like the fight is necessarily bad, it's so boring. I've said this a lot for many episodes, but this is a case where the fight starts really well for what could be a fast and exciting animation, only for Renamon to run headfirst into an aura sphere and go up to land the slowest combo you've ever goddamn seen. She's firing off a Diamond Storm with a voice clip they seem to reuse multiple times, because apparently Marissa Lenti realized how dead this episode was just from being in the recording studio, realizing she's voicing the only character with sexually intended artwork of them shown in an episode. Lucario firing off a max aura and Renamon running up a falling pillar to kick the shit out of him would be awesome if she didn't jump directly into the beam. And then the fight ends, and credit where it's due, the death is good. Lucario running through the Diamond Storm while he's being pelted and cut, blood pissing out of him before delivering a satisfying combo and stabbing through Renamon's neck, a death carry by Renamon's final desperate cling to life before succumbing to the end. But that was the whole fight. A fine start, a good end, nothing in between. A fight so short you could take a piss and come back to hear Wiz say this was an extremely close match. And I think it was a great choice to have Lucario blitzing in the fight, by the way. It really helps to show the animation had effort put in, when it really accurately demonstrates how Lucario needs aura to consistently match Renamon's speed, as Renamon is able to blitz more reliably. Stunning. Beyond that bit of annoyance, the conclusion gives me nothing. This episode, it's beyond boring, but the uncredited sexualized Renamon fan art is bumming this shit to a 3. This is not a good episode, and man, it sucks to end a positive video on a sour note, but that's just how it is. Now I've reviewed every Pokemon episode. We're in the home stretch, fellas. I'll see you next time for the next review. Have a good one.